What's going on, everyone? Mizas here. Today, we're talking about the housing market. Will there be a crash? Won't there be a crash? What is going on? So obviously, the news is, interest rates are hiking. There's a recession coming. Interest rates are going back down. The stock market's plummeting. The stock market's rallying. There's just so much going on. It's a little hard to follow. I get it. But today we're talking about foreclosures. All right, so the first thing that we need to keep in mind, especially when we're talking about a market crash, is the history of the market. A lot of people are comparing this to 2008. Now, I really want to unpack this here because there's really one huge reason why it won't be like 2008 if it does crash. And so we're going to dive into that. All right. So in 2008, builders were going crazy. And I guess this was even before 2008, about like 2005 to 2008, that 3-year window when the real estate market was really booming, just like it has now. Builders were going crazy with building. Record high number of homes were being built at that time. Furthermore, with all those homes being built and people buying them, the qualification process for those buyers was really lacking. Now, when I mean it's really lacking, they really didn't verify income all as much as they did, which obviously has led to the very strict lending guidelines that we have today. So with the lack of qualifying, you get these subprime loans. Now, these subprime loans were wrapped up into these AAA bonds. And, if you haven't watched The Big Short, I highly suggest watching it. But, Wall Street was pretty much betting against these bonds because of the fact that they were an adjustable rate mortgage. So these adjustable rate mortgages were set to have these hikes. Michael Burry saw how exposed these loans were. And, a lot of Wall Street was betting against these subprime loans that were wrapped into these AAA bonds. Now, these AAA bonds were essentially just the wrapping paper for these subprime loans. And what was really inside was buyer after buyer that really couldn't afford the house that they were living in because of these rate hikes. Due to the lack of qualifying, due to the builders, building at great proportions and the rate hikes, we had a lot of foreclosures and a lot of damage in the market. And this is essentially what popped the bubble. There was homeowner after homeowner that could no longer afford that house and had to put it up for sale, got foreclosed on. Maybe they rented it out, but a big portion did get foreclosed on or did have to just sell it while they still could, causing this flood of inventory into the market. Now, once this turn of events started happening, there were companies that started filing for bankruptcy, such as Lehman Brothers, and this is what started the Great Recession. And if you're finding this information valuable so far, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, even turn on that notification button. That way I can stay motivated to keep bringing you this valuable content. So now we want to look at what's happening now, right? Now, with historically low interest rates and prices appreciating year over year, and in the past 3 years, it's been around 20% of appreciation. Inventory has really been constricted. Builders have not been building that much since 2008. And now we're at historically low levels of inventory at the moment. Now, in my opinion, for a crash to happen, for home prices to plummet 20, 30, 40%, foreclosures are going to need to happen. And in this article that I found here, foreclosures are holding steady from March 2022, and we are at near historic lows. Now, so when we look a little bit further into this, you can see, back in 2021, let me scroll that down a little bit. Back in 2021, 30-day delinquency, that was up a little bit. And 2022, people are catching up to their payments. 30 to 59 days, same thing. These are around the same. 2022, it's a little bit higher. Nothing too big of a difference here. And then as we go further, it just gets lower. And then here, this is what we want to look at. Serious delinquencies. This is what we want to look at, and this is what we want to follow and understand in the next coming months. Because realistically, we might not really even know what's happening till September, October, November, later down the road, when the real estate market does tend to fall off a little bit. People are in school, people are back from vacation. Now, the last 2 years, it's been booming through these months. But I think one sign would be, is this going to cool off? Is it not? Is it going to cool off and stay cooled off? Or is it just going to bounce right back up like it has been doing? So serious delinquencies, last year, that was an issue. It's kind of coming down this year. Same thing over here. Now in foreclosure, it looks like people are catching up on their monthly payments or selling the house if they need to. But this is something that we really, really want to pay attention to going forward. Because if we do see this start to surge, there is a chance that we might enter this really bad housing crash. But like I said, with these low foreclosure numbers, I don't see any way that we could be in a position to have a housing crash like 2008 all over again. Now, the main reason is, as I stated before, people had to sell their homes left and right. People were getting foreclosed on because they could not afford the house. And due to the lending guidelines that we have now, we are so much less exposed in that sense. Now, one thing that could happen is if we do enter a recession, and if the Fed decides to lower rates and the mortgage companies follow suit, that could be a problem. That could be a really big problem, because we already saw what happens when you lower rates. Back right before COVID and throughout COVID, rates were at historic lows, causing such high buyer demand, which there is still a very high buyer demand. But people are just kind of waiting on the sidelines. But, causing that high buyer demand, causing these prices to skyrocket, it could be possible that there is just no more room for them to grow. But we really don't know until we do. Right now, last month, as I shown in my market report for last month, it looks like housing prices may be beginning to plateau. But we've also seen this trend before in the past months. I know I've personally watched that chart at the tail end of 2021. It kind of looked like home prices were starting to level off, and then it did this, and then it went right back up next month. And then I think January, it might have went down a little bit, but then it's been rallying after these little dips. So my prediction, there won't be a housing crash. I think that numbers will start to decrease a little bit. I think that prices will continue to go down, and especially as homes might sit on the market a little bit more due to the uncertainty and due to a looming recession and due to higher interest rates. Houses might not be flying off the shelf, causing prices to come down a little bit. And that would just be the market correcting. I really don't see price drops over 20%. Now, if you want to call that a crash, you can, but year over year since 2020, homes have been appreciating 20%. So, when I say a price decrease of 20%, that's not necessarily a bad thing. That can even the playing field a little bit. Now, the unfortunate thing would be is if you had just bought your home and you need to relocate. Now, if you're if you're looking to be in your home for the next 7 to 10 years, and we do start to see these price decreases, this could be a really good time. My suggestion would just be stay on the sidelines, make sure the numbers make sense. Don't just jump into it. You really want to be paying attention to the data and to the history of the housing market. But I do believe 5 to 7, 7 to 10 years, you're looking good to buy, as long as those numbers do make sense and you're not putting yourself into an exposed situation like it did happen in '08. So with that being said, let's continue to watch the numbers. There are going to be markets that are going to lose a lot more than others. I think Montgomery County, Chester County, Delaware County, the greater Philadelphia area is in very good shape. Now, if you're looking at markets like Texas or California, where people were leaving California in crazy amounts of numbers and moving to Texas, that could be a whole nother situation. I have realtors in my group that I'm happy to talk to. Maybe we can bring on, do a podcast, or just do a Zoom call and see what their market is like. But that's just my prediction, and we'll see where this thing goes. And I look forward to bringing you some more content. So if you could, please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.